Amen. Okay, I am going to ask Teresa to come up. She's going to talk. We're going to go through a few of the things we've been involved in this last year. As I said, we're going to celebrate some of the things that we've done over this last year. And I'm going to have Teresa come up and talk about the care closet. I am going to give you a microphone just because if there are people that are listening on the live stream, they can't hear you without the microphone. I know everybody's like, I don't want the microphone. So Teresa's going to talk a little bit about the care closet.
Okay, yeah, we've been continuing the care closet, and here lately our numbers had been down a little bit, and I don't understand, but I know God always has a reason for everything, but I got to thinking, one, last year we had talked about helping a young gal. She came into the care closet with her grandma all the time, and she was pregnant, and we were able to help her to be able to purchase, things for the baby and just help her out along the way. And I got to thinking, I saw her grandma at the store because they hadn't been in for a while. So I saw her grandma at the store here recently, and I asked her how she was doing, and she said, well, she had moved to Missouri, and she's getting married this summer, and she's doing really well. And I thought that was great, because it was just good to hear. And, and then sometimes it takes me a while to, for God to really show me anything. But I got to thinking, it's kind of like how things come full circle sometimes, because I remember when I was a young single mom, and it was just amazing to think that I was able, to help somebody, with something that I had been through myself. And, it's just amazing, to see how God sometimes brings things around. You don't understand, things in your life sometimes, but, it usually, God usually shows you eventually, why things happen. And that was really, and we've been doing concession stands now to help raise money for the care closet. And that has been, it's a lot of work sometimes, but it's been a lot of fun too. We get to, we have people come to the concession stands and ask, what group we're from. And so we get to tell them we're from the Nazarene church and get our name out there a little bit. But it's just, it's nice to get out in the community and see how God's working. So
Tuesday Together meals. I know there's quite a few of you guys that are involved in that, but you guys can talk more about that than I can. So if you would like to say something about Tuesday Together meals too, us being involved in that.
Yes, that's another thing we've been. The Tuesday Together meals at the Methodist Church, we have been able to, they've tried to get other churches involved, and some churches have stepped up to help out with that. And so we've been able to do that a few times. And it's just, it's nice to, that we can be involved. And we have so much fun. We have ladies that come into the church to help with different areas of that meal. And it's just fun to get together with, ladies from other churches. And yeah, we always have a good time. So.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, so those are some of the things, some of the ministries we've kind of gotten involved in. Some of them we've been involved in for a little while, and some of them we are getting involved, or we got involved in this last year. So those are some of the things. I want to have Tammy, she's going to come up and speak a little bit about what's all been going on in Children's Church and, the Children's Sunday School. So you got to help her. There you go. That works. She's just so excited about what's going on in Children's Sunday School. She wants to tell everybody, right?
Yeah. Okay. Sunday school, of course, is just the 3 kids. We do have some visitors here and there. We had one today, and she helped. I told her I wanted her to come back every Sunday and help, but she didn't say yes yet. But the kids are growing so much. I mean, we were in the van driving down the road. And Olivia heard an ambulance, and she said, I prayed for them, Tammy, because something's wrong. So they just surprise me with stuff they do. Gracie tells me how she prays for everybody, and there was a bad storm, and she was praying for that. And what else did she told me something about her dad, because he travels a lot. They pray for him all the time, so she can do the splits. She wants everybody to know that. But it's just enjoyable to have them. Waylon, he's a little challenged, but he just tries to get out. I try to keep him in. He tries to get out. So we are having lots of fun. Are we? Hey. Okay. She said, yeah. We just enjoy it. So that's all I got to say. Is that enough?
Yep, that works. You guys liking the stuff the lessons that Tammy's taking you through? Yeah, it's fun stuff. We got some curriculum this last year, some of the curriculum that they use at the Nazarene Church over in Oski. And so it seems like it was pretty good. We went through and kind of looked through some different curriculums, and that was one that we felt would keep the kids engaged and going. So that is that. Do you have this muted? Can I set it down without it being all snapping and everything? Actually, I'm going to put it back here. Okay. Some of the other things that we have done this year, obviously we've had some blood drives. They just come in and use our space. They had, Life Serve, is that who no, it's the other one. Can you put the slide up? I know the people, I don't always, there we go. Impact Life, there we go. Impact Life. They used to have some blood drives out at the hospital, but they weren't able to have that space anymore. So we offered them this space, and they've come through, and it sounds like they've been fairly successful at getting some people to come through here. And that was kind of always the vision of what it is that we wanted this church to be, was kind of a fluid space where you could have those different kind of things that help serve the community, that this is our place that we come and gather together and worship on Sundays, and we gather together for small groups and stuff like that, but also a place where other people in our community could come in. And Teresa talked about we've been involved in concessions at the high school sporting events. That has been good. A lot of times, quite a few of us will wear our church shirts, so that everybody knows we're from the Church of the Nazarene. Some other things we've been involved with, we've been involved with the youth. I have still been helping Ryan with that community youth group. When we first started, we had kids from about 5 different churches. This year we have less churches, like kids from different churches, but it's still been a good thing. We lost a lot of seniors last year. They graduated out of youth. Some of them still try to come back and help a little bit, but they graduated. So what we have are we had this mainly upperclassmen. Like last year and this past year, we have grown a lot in middle school boys. So the tone of youth group has definitely changed from last year to this year. So it's been fun to get to know these middle school boys and just get to know them and have conversations with them and have some fun with them in games and things like that. So that has been going on. Another thing that we're getting involved in, and we just kind of got involved in this in the last couple months, and some of you guys may have heard me talk to different people in the church about this, but one of the things we're getting involved in this next year is there's a larger conversation happening in this community about homelessness. And so I know you guys know we've had a few people that have come through to visit, and they've come through and visited, and they've been homeless. And so we've kind of tried to help them get into a more stable environment, kind of like what Teresa was talking about, right? Like to give them help when they need it, and then to watch them go on and have that stability, and because they had that support group. And so it's kind of an amazing thing to kind of see. If you guys remember, we had last year we had an older woman that we had helped get into a more stable environment, and she had passed about a year ago, but it was just that trying to help them get on their feet again. And so we're having this larger conversation in the community. When I say the community, we've got the now acting chief of police who's involved with that. We've got the mayor who's been involved with that. We've got public health nurses that have been involved with that. We've got, a bunch of different churches that are involved in this conversation. We've got several people from the school that are involved in this conversation. And we're looking at this as these are the roadblocks that most people have. Some of the things we don't necessarily think about, but it's good to have those people that are involved in helping the homeless to understand these roadblocks. One thing that is kind of a roadblock that you wouldn't necessarily think about is laundry, right? So where do you do your laundry if you're homeless, and how do you get it to the laundromat and pay the money, and what do you do with your soap? Because if everything you've got is on your back, then it's kind of hard. And then when you only have one change of clothes too, right? So we're looking at laundry, and we're looking at a few other things on how to help some of these roadblocks that we might be able to help as a community. So that's another thing that we have been involved in this last year. Now, one thing, and I said we were going to talk about this because it was on the slide for announcements, is we have decided to discontinue game nights. And I know that you guys might be going, well, man, I liked getting together. We did too, but it was also kind of that trying to figure out what is going to work in helping to bring other people into the church. And game night, while it was absolutely fun for us, and we had a lot of fun, and I know you guys did too, apparently the people in the community they didn't want to come in. So we're going to try to change it up, try a few different things, which is part of the reason why we're trying this chosen small group on Monday nights, where we'll show the video, invite people to that, right? Invite people to that, because you can come, it's kind of just a small group where we can get together and start watching this. It's a really powerful series. It's a really powerful show. I encourage you to come and watch. So we'll start that at 6:30 on Monday nights, and we'll do the video, and usually we'll do one episode each week. In the first season, there's 8 episodes, so it'll be 8 weeks. And we'll do that, and that will be, it's about 45, 50 minutes an episode, so I don't really want to keep everybody here really late, because if you start at 6:30, It's going to be about 7:30, a little before 7:30 before it's done. But I want us to have a little conversation afterwards. And like I said, there's the book out there. The Bible study has some great information in there. So if you want to go through that, I probably will pick about one question from each week for us to discuss out of that book. So that's something we just want to try to help bring people in with that. So that is one of the things that we are going to be doing. Also, towards the end of June, we're going to start up again in the Rooted and Established group. So we're going to start through a series in Romans the Sunday after Father's Day, I believe. So we're going to start through on that, and then when we have those, it'll go quite a while, but I want us to understand what Paul was saying in Romans. And because another emphasis that I felt God was leading us towards this year was what truly makes a Nazarene, right? Our theology. There are differences in our theology than the theology of other churches. And those are things that we need to celebrate, that we need to understand ourselves. So that is something I want us to do, or that we are going to do. And so we're kind of looking at inviting and looking at what does it mean to be a Nazarene. And those are kind of some of the things that we are focusing on in this next year. And just briefly, before we get into our song service, because we will get into that, and I know this has been a little long, and you guys are like, okay, we're done. We're done with that. But I wanted to just point out a few things. And if you got one of these are just our annual meeting. It's got some our church members in there, our average worship attendance for the last year. Oh, that needed to be changed. Sometimes I use the same format, and so it is the average worship attendance from the 24 or 25, 26 year was 25. So there's some our membership list. We've got some of our financials in there. Some of the things that I have done as the pastor, some of the things we have done as a church. And then in the 26-27 church year, we will be involved in the larger conversation about homelessness in Lucas County and have more small group opportunities. So those are things you can read through my report to the district and what our church has done in this last year. And then we get to the point of how do we help? How do we help at doing all of this? It's the same thing as I've talked about in the last years. Continue to pray for the church, and continue to ask God to guide. Be an active participant, and give, right? And I'm not just talking about money, right? It's your time, your talents, and your treasures, right? So those are some ways to do that. Now, okay, we are going to get into our song worship, and then we will have a brief or a short message. It's going to be shorter than it normally is, but hopefully we still get something out of it. Hopefully we're all paying attention. But first, I did forget one announcement. There may be someone in our church that is having a birthday this upcoming week. And I'm looking out, and I think she's in the kitchen. Is Sherry in the kitchen? Okay. We will pause on that until I see her face again. I did try, but I'm looking out and I'm like, where is she? Is she just like ducked down? Or oh, yeah? You think maybe she's listening online? Well, we'll wait. Although now, if she is listening online and she knows that I'm going to sing to her, she might not come back. We might have to just catch her, like when we're out there eating. So, okay, I will pause on that. We will do our song worship. I still don't need this. Sorry, I'm a little today. If you guys think I'm like a little more than I typically am. I already had my coffee and I've already started into some Mountain Dew. So I've got a little more caffeine in me this morning, which I felt like I needed that because I stayed up late trying to get all of our numbers in. Yesterday was the big day where I had to have all of our reports in. And I was waiting through the week for one of the reports, so I didn't get it until late Friday, so I only had a chance to put that in on Saturday, and it's one of those things that if you start a report and then you don't have all the information, you have to start it back at the beginning on some of those, so I had to wait until I had that. So anyway, I was a little tired last night, so I tried to pump myself up with some caffeine today. So this first song, we are going to sing Praise. And so I just want us to celebrate, right? Celebrate what it is that we've done, what God has led us into this last year. And so I encourage you to stand up if you can, and we are going to sing praise, because we praise God for what it is that he has done in this last year, in our lives and in the life of the church. And I just want us to have this celebration. And so that's why I really felt like God was asking for us to sing praise. So let's stand if we can, and we'll sing praise.